Greetings, boys and girls, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, students, Reds. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be playing Minecraft, but modded, of course. The Minecraft that you see here is 1.12.2, and the reason why we're back here in this version is because, as you can see there, this is the I had brought back to this version for the Clay Soldier mod. The Clay Soldier mod basically brings clay soldiers, entities, as you see there, made out of clay, and they bring them into Minecraft. Let me go ahead and give you guys a good tour of what this place is supposed to look like. Now I gotta be very careful with my movement. I tried to do the recording earlier, and it was just super buggy and glitchy. Like every turn, twist, and all that was just bleh. Terrible. I hated it. So I'm going to try my best not to do as much movement. Anyways, this project here, little video series I'm going to be working on for you folks, alongside the Alrighty, we're back, and I am going to explain what this is, what I'm doing, yada yada yada. Alright, what is this? This is a project slash little series of YouTube that I'm going to be doing for you folks. What is the name of the series? If you can't tell by the title of the name, World of Clay. Basically, there will be empires, factions, and all that fun pizzazz of clay soldiers or clay people. These ones are the green ones, and I thought the green would be really good for the forest faction, which is going to be the starter faction. So, as the forest starter faction, this could be the starter faction. We're going to do a couple episodes doing progression on them and all that fun pizzazz. Now, I am going to go ahead and explain what I've done here now with them, and then I'll do a few more other explaining and stuff. So, what did I do here? Well, I made a settlement. They have a barracks made out of oak wood. They have 3 homes made out of birch. And they have here a wheat farm. And they also have trees. A couple are growing. They'll be fully grown by next video. This is a nice little lovely area here. So I gotta be a little easier on my movement here. So, why is there birch and why is there oak? Why is there not just one? Well, in this faction, they see that birch is a very warming type of wood. So they use it as a form of their homing and their people. Allows them to have comfort to those ones that they love. Blech. Now, oak, on the other hand, is a bit sturdy and strong, so it represents their military and their form of government. So any government or official buildings that them as an individual be controlling, as a faction as a whole, it's going to be made out of oak. If it's going to be made out of birch, it's most likely independent people within the Lockwood unique hinges. Anyways, as you can see here, the Woodlock's Kingdom, if you're referring to one of them, they're Woodlockian, and if you're referring to multiple of them, they're Woodlockians. Anyways, for the Woodlock Kingdom, fixed it. But for these guys, they were able to, with their starting resources, which was all the resources within this fence line. So within this fence line is a 20 by 20 grid of squares. Pretty good. Pretty cool. And of course, we have this fence line here is to make sure that these guys stay within inside their area of their territory and not try to be crazy and branch out. Now, let's see here. They have farm, like I mentioned earlier, 3 homes, little tree farm. It's not little, it's a pretty big tree farm actually. And we have the barracks. Now, for this faction and any other faction that I would be playing or have playing, they will have the 3 same starting resource. A chest, which I use here, and then there is the furnace and there is the crafting table. Everything else is gathered and crafted in the crafting area, in their environment. Bleh. Sorry for that. I'm having a pretty hard time talking, if you can't tell. Anywho, moving right along. As these clay soldiers, they will represent two factions, you could say. Or not factions, but 2 sides. There's civilian and there's warriors. As you can see, if you haven't saw them already, there's a couple that have sticks. This one is a civilian because he's unarmed. Let me go ahead and see if I can find one with a stick. Right here. This one has a stick. It is technically a warrior. They have 3 warriors and 6 civilians. So, they can do 1 military task and 3 civilian tasks. What are those tasks and how did I get those numbers? Well, for each 2 clay members of that faction, they have 1 operation power. If they have an additional 1, for example, that's odd, we'll round it down to the nearest even. So for example, there's 3 soldiers, we'll round it down to 2, that's 1. They only have 1 power, 1 military task. Now, with military tasks, I'm going to go ahead and explain those ones quickly because it's very simple and easy. So, for a military task, they can either expand their borders or do a scouting party, do a raid party, or do a hunt party. Now, when expanding the borders, they will be able to expand the borders out by 15 individual blocks. So that counts for this block, that block, any block. The fencing does not count to the block of their territory. So they have to, quote unquote, count the block that they're attached to, then any blocks outsidewards, if that makes sense. They can expand by 20 per task of the military. When hunting, they can gather, they will attack 2 animals, and they'll be able to pretty much kill 2 animals and gather those resources from killing those 2 animals. Upon attacking the animals and all that, there's also scouting and raiding. we're not going to do scouting and we're not going to do raiding until there's another faction, of course. But scouting basically allows you to see if there's any other factions, outposts, or anything outside. For now, I'm just going to stick with the one faction, one base, unless you folks wish to see glorious expansion. I might consider that later on. But for now, we're just going to focus on making this kingdom get bigger. And of course, raiding, they attack a known empire. Like, they know the location of that said empire. So, yeah. And they just raid. So they basically, I'll drop them down. They go attack. They kill people. If they're manageable to kill past their entrance, where the entrance will always have the barracks. If they're able to get past the barracks, or any building they get past of, they can loot. So for example, in this case, if they pass the barracks, they get the loot chests. Now, for each attacker that comes in, that is one item taken from the chest. And it'll go basically from left top, just go like this. So this one, then this one, then this one. So for example, if there's 5 people that came to raid this place, they'll lose the sign, 2 apples, the furnace, and 1 birch wood. Anywho, now those are all the tasks that the military can do. But what about civilian tasks? Now that one's a little bit different. Civilian tasks can build structures, harvest materials within their territory, and that's about it, really. Or, and do crafting. If they were to have a carpenter or a blacksmith, depending on what the crafting involves. So, they can do basic construction, always, without having a carpenter or a blacksmith or a stoneworker or whatever. But what they can't do is make tools or whatnot for their faction and all that fun pizzazz. Another thing they can do is set up a mine and do mining for the faction. So for example, let's say they decide to build a mine right here. After constructing the mine, they can choose to go digging. Now, obviously, for the sake of me, I'm going to dig it as if I were to play in survival, kind of. It'll be a 1 column straight down type of deal, so it makes it more sense for these guys. However, though, it'll be tall enough for me to walk down, and it'll be tall enough for me to transport in and out. But if there were to be any, let's say, structures like these homes, then I would build them in their proper height. As in, like, I cannot get in there, but I can look inside of it and see what it is. So, these guys, the reason why they have 9 starting people for their faction is because of these floors here. The floors of the homes. There's 3 birch wood for each home. If I'm building something and it's a home, for each tile the floor has, that is 1 individual. So basically, building homes means that there will be more soldiers or more clay people. So it's always going to be good for them to be mining or harvesting the wood and expanding. So they can either harvest wood or harvest food. Now, if they're missing people, they can turn the food, they can sacrifice food and a workforce to make more people. So let's say they don't have the resources to build a home, or their population is under than what their capacity is because they lost people in a recent battle or whatever. Then they can use food and people to make more people. For every 1 food and 1 workforce consumed, regardless if it's military or civilian, it will turn into, you guessed it, a person. So I decided to do that for that. I am technically playing on creative, or not creative, but peaceful. I might change it to easy, but I'm gonna stick with peaceful for now. If I wish to change it to a different thing, I can have it set up to where they do other things. But for now, we're gonna stick on peaceful, and I'll switch in and out of creative and peaceful because, or creative and survival, because within survival, I will be doing the making of their structures to make sure that resources are being used up properly. The tools I'm using, that's grabbed from creative, so that doesn't matter. And I will make sure that none of the clay soldiers are harmed whenever I do work, and I'll make sure that they are the right amount of people done, or right amount of tools and people every time I do any kind of expansions or anything to the base, or any work to it in general. So, thanks for watching, folks. This video is just basically an introduction to a new series that I'm doing. Hoping you folks like it. I'm going to be putting a comment down below about the things that we can do in this faction. As I was saying, there will be a poll, not poll really, but a list of stuff in the comment down below. I'll pin it so people will always see it. In the description down below, there will be a video explaining what's all in this mod and everything about it. And if you guys believe I should have it to be in easy or not. The reason why I'm saying not in easy, or at least technically not in easy, is because of the simple fact that I don't want to be attacking mobs or anything, or attacking mobs or anything like that. I don't know if they can attack mobs, like the bad ones, like monsters. Sorry. I'm getting a little tired and trying to get this video out. I am very appreciative of you people for watching. Make sure you do comment down below at least, describing what you guys want to see. If I don't have enough quote unquote made up for what they'll do, I will personally make stuff up for them to do, if that makes sense. Alright. This has been Captorama.